Welcome back to Red River Podcast, episode number 115. I guess the last episode was the other movie thing.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on a movie roll.
Yeah,
so,
We are.
but also we have, like I said, the director of Bad Candy, the director of that documentary Underground Ink.
Yeah.
That
I
was
just
pretty.
watched that today. Very
How
cool.
good is that? Very
Right.
detailed. Like I'm like
Sure.
watching the bands he picks. And yeah, it was so cool. I hit him up and I was like, yo, I love your doc. And he's like, oh, I see you do a podcast if you ever want to talk. And I was like, fuck yeah. But he's in Australia. So he's like, I guess they're like way ahead of us as far as time. So to book something.
4 in the morning over here.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it is. And then fucking that dude BJ that directed the new Foo Fighters movie that comes out. I mean, I can't even believe it. Like Rob's like, oh, you should consider having my friend BJ on. I was like,
It's considered.
I was like, I'll speak for everyone else. I'm like, consider.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus, the Slayer videos alone. Not to mention, he's got a theatrical release coming out this week. It's
I'm thinking like this on the Slayer and the Hatchet 3 alone. I would have been like, yeah, absolutely. So, but all right. So today let's talk about some raunchy comedies. It's very hard to kind of like dissect what we want to name these episodes, but it's kind of like the episode we just did. So it's like just a little focus on these movies, and we have a whole bunch of them, and I know people really wanted to get involved with this as well. I heard a lot of random picks from people that texted me, so let's talk about.
I had a lot that once we figured out we'll do another one of these later on. I like laid off a couple of them, and these are like my 5 jewels in the bunch and stuff, but the
5 jewels. Okay, so I did like 2 that are kind of considered probably not the best movies, and 3 that are legitimately good movies. So I wanted to do like a mixed bag. So Parker, I don't know what you did. How did you come up with your list?
I was originally going to stick with like 80s, kind of like the teen sex thing that way, but I did pick like newer, like 2000s, a couple of those, just because like,
yeah, me too.
They're fucking great. Like these fucking, like I'm looking at the covers right now and I'm just laughing at them. Like I saw like one of them in the theaters. Like these are definitely movies that could have been in the last episode that we did, something that comes on and I watch them every time.
Yeah. All right. So let's do it. Kick it off.
So number 5, I did something from 2004. And I know that we were, briefly talking today about like, what's your favorite part? Funny. I mean, this starts off with one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So opening scene is, at a graduation party in high school. And this guy's, talking to his girlfriend. I'm going to be going away to a different school, but you're going to be a senior, yada, yada. And then lo and behold, the singer gets up and checks the microphone, and he's got a shaved head, and it's Matt Damon, man. And he's going to sing this song called Scotty Doesn't Know. And the movie's called Euro Trip, and I fucking laugh my ass off every time I watch this fucking movie.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. That's a movie that like I see picked a lot. I never saw it.
Yeah,
never saw it.
I mean, pretty much the basis is this guy, like I said, he's in love with his girlfriend, blah, 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 but he's going away to school. But on the side, he's got this pen pal, and he thinks that it's a dude, but it turns out that it's really a woman. So he books this trip to Europe to actually go meet her, and drags, his best friend along. And then typical movie like mayhem assumes. And, Vinnie Jones plays this crazy soccer hooligan that,
nice. Vinnie Jones.
Has this, Fred Armiston is the Miscusi on the train, which every time I laugh at that. And, you got Xena herself, running
Warrior
S&M,
Princess.
Yeah. Running an S&M sex club over there. And just a fucking funny movie. I mean, definitely about sex. The kid's going over there to get laid, let's be honest. But a little bit of nudity. I figured I'd start with like the BN, the brief nudity. And then just as my list gets, closer and closer, then it gets real fucking.
It's amazing what people will do for pussy.
Yeah,
I think somebody once said it. I forgot who, but they were like, the weirdest places that I've gone to for sex. Like you
Yeah.
just end up like when you're single, you just end up at like you could be anywhere in any state and like just be like, oh yeah, like I don't know, I was talking to this girl and now I'm in Pennsylvania just hanging out for the day. So definitely not Europe. Europe's a little thirsty.
Yeah,
so
that's a little crazy.
I don't know about that. But shout out to Lucy Lawless as
Yeah, still hot.
well. Is she? I don't know.
Well, back then that was 2004.
She looked good, and she was in the Ash vs Evil Dead.
You're right. You're right.
Hanging.
She did. She looked good in that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Cool. Langan.
All right, my and these are in no order. These are just 5 mentions we're doing. I kind of went for, in my the films I was looking for, because I know initially we were saying teen sex comedies, then we made sex comedies, and so I was looking for any kind of raunch, heavy on sexual jokes. Nudity is always a plus in these films. A few racial stereotypes, not bad, especially in the 80s.
Oh, that was like par for the course.
If anybody uses the term screw instead of fuck, nobody says that anymore. Screw. It's gonna screw. But my first entry will be Super Bad. I don't remember the year it came out. Was it 2004 also?
2007.
2007,
yeah.
I love these kind of night in the life movies, a la like a Dazed and Confused or whatever, like a night in the life of your youth. Those nights you remember, that these epic journeys you go on with a friend or something, usually, and starts out just like a lot of ours did, when a quest to get alcohol first.
Trying to get beer, man. Trying to get somebody to get you.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And all the hoops you jump through. And I mean, Michael Cera and Jonah Hill are great together. There's so many killer lines in this. The cast is great. I even not just the stuff with the teens, the whole side story with McLovin and the cops. I could watch a movie of just that. Like, it's such a great, secondary story. But
it is, yeah.
I mean, it crushes. It's just so quotable, and I could watch it like over and over again. Never get sick of it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that movie. I remember watching in the theaters, and just like you said, it's just everything starts when you're trying to get beer. But like for us growing up, like my mom would give us alcohol. So shout out to my mom.
Nice. All right.
As long as
we had one friend's mom who allowed us to drink. She liked knowing where we were. So like if we drank,
that's what it was.
It was
that's
cool,
what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Like my mom would be like, all right, you know what? If you're going to drink, just drink here. So she would get us stuff. But what she didn't know, shout out to my mom, was that we were into heavy drugs. And if we were fucked up, we would just be like, oh, I'm drunk. And she wouldn't think anything of it. She's not thinking like, oh, my son's on heroin and cocaine right now, which we were. So, but
all right.
Times have changed.
My memory of that basement, I remember like once weed was introduced, and they're not thinking about proper ventilation. I just remember her yelling, Ken, the whole house smells of marijuana. That wasn't part of the deal.
Yeah.
And like the deal was, have cases of beer down there. That was totally okay.
Isn't that funny?
The waft of marijuana was too much.
Like
a
now,
bridge too far.
Like now, when you think about it, it's like I would rather sit next to 10 people smoking weed than one drunk person. And shout out to my karaoke party, because they were all drunk there except me. So definitely, like Hess and the crew, we're definitely living it up. So my first movie that I'm going to mention is from, I think, 2005. And I feel like it was just like the beginning of the Apatow, reign that he had for a little bit with the 40-Year-Old Virgin. I really like this. I thought it was great. I guess it came after was that Ron Burgundy movie?
Anchorman.
Yeah. So like Steve Carell seemed to like really hit it during that movie, and they make this movie where he's a 40-year-old virgin, which is ridiculous to begin with. So I love just everyone. It's so true. It's like once everyone finds out they're playing, like, I guess he does the reveal when they're playing poker. And they were all telling these sex stories, and like Steve Carell is like, yo, man, what, like I forgot the black dude's name, but he's just like, yo, man, tell us a story, of like a sex story, and he just starts doing that thing. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, I once started dating this girl, and she was like really into sex, and she was always like, oh, I want sex. Like, it's so ridiculous, and everyone's looking at him, and then like eventually they find out that he never had sex, and then from there, like every normal dude is probably looking at him like, I need to get this guy laid, which is exactly what all of them did. They're like, that dude is like, yo, you know what? He's like, from now on, my dick is your dick. It's just so funny. And then the old like Indian dude, starts talking to him, and he's just I forgot what the funny shit that he was saying. It was like
anytime he cursed.
Yes, it was funny because it was like he was just he's like, Andy. He's like, love is not about like buttholes and licking this and that.
Butthole pleasures.
Yeah, butthole pleasures. And then he was like, I think he told him how old he was. He's like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. He's like, you need to have sex. He's like, this is ridiculous. So very
like
funny
an ensemble movie. There's so many good, like Paul Rudd. You watch the outtakes of that movie. It is as funny as watching the film.
It is.
Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen, you know how I know you're gay?
The improv is right.
Yeah, right. That's what it, because anytime I mention that I like Coldplay, I always get that line. I'm like, I get it. All right, whatever. But yeah, so like he's in. So Rogen's in there. Seth Rogen, not Joe. I got to say it now. Paul Rudd, Jane Lynch, Catherine Keener, who I love in everything.
Jane Lynch, I love this subtle thing. Sorry to interrupt, but that Michael McDonald was always on television.
Yes.
So loud.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but it like great cast, great raunchy movie. And like at the end it had like that heart, but it was still like the beginning was so filthy and fucking funny, and everyone was just like, I think it was like the beginning of like the R-rated comedy again in like the 2000s, where it's like, oh my god, okay, cool, like let's dump the sewer on this. So I love it. 40-Year-Old Virgin, Judd Apatow doing his thing. So Parker.
So this one I saw in the theater. This is Jesus Christ. Looking at it now, it's fucking 2000. That's a fucking long time ago. So guy's in college, really just wants to get laid. He doesn't even realize that, I guess he does realize because he actually makes a movie with this chick that he's cheating on his girlfriend with. And tape goes missing, because his buddy accidentally mailed it. And then just this whole road trip ensues. And the movie's called Road Trip. And it's actually on a double feature with Eurotrip. So that's why I didn't show it earlier.
Yes,
so that's my next one.
That's my next one too.
Yeah. So, I mean, Breckenmeyer can do no wrong in my eyes. Ever since Clueless, I've loved this fucking guy. Tom Green, I mean, just spotless, everything from Release the Fury Mitch to never leaving the college town. They mock him how he's never even left the fucking town. And I think he's been going to school there either 7 or 8 years. Andy Dick plays one of the fucking best roles ever, working at the motel, just straight up weirdo, which is Andy Dick. So I think that's why it was so great. Everything from, going to an all black fraternity and getting the handshake right. And probably weekly used line that I still use to this day is, did I say 2 fingers? Better make it 3. I must say that line once a week. No problem.
Yeah. I'll piggyback.
I find that all these films are have deeply ingrained quotes. That I constantly quote.
I'll piggyback on that because that was my next mention. Road Trip, amazing.
I don't know if I saw that movie.
Oh my god!
What year did it come out?
2000.
So this is Todd Phillips' first movie. I think it was his first real movie. I think after he did the Gigi Allen thing.
Okay.
So obviously we all know that he directed Gigi Allen Hated. And then it's just the cast is great, but it reminds you just how fucking dated something is because he mails a videotape and they still have enough time to like follow it or something. Like I was watching it the other day just randomly. It was on maybe like IFC or something, and I just started watching. I was like, yo, I'm like, this movie is fucking great. But it was like that dated thing where you're like, holy shit, they're basically trying to beat a VHS tape from getting to Austin. And I thought that was fun.
What was on the VHS tape?
So Breckenmeyer is the main character who plays he's the guy from Clueless. Shout out to Travis Birkenstock. So him and his girlfriend ended up going to different colleges, and I guess they had like a long distance relationship, and one night he can't like reach her or something. So he's thinking like, she's probably like cheating on me. So then he goes to this party and he ends up hooking up with this girl. And they, I guess he filmed it or something by mistake. I don't even remember how he filmed it. He had also these other tapes where he was like talking to his girlfriend, I guess, instead of like a text or, you weren't doing any of that stuff. So he was mailing her videotapes of him like playing guitar and like saying, I miss you and all this other shit.
Right.
But the VHS tapes got swapped and she ended up getting like the sex tape.
Okay.
And stuff. So, and I remember like, speaking of that, remember like the honeymooners when like fucking Ralph was like making a recording to his mother-in-law with butter, he was like, my buttercup, and he was like apologizing. So good. That just reminded me of it. But DJ Qualls is in there, which is definitely an interesting guy for sure. And the blonde kid, right, from American Pie,
Sean William Scott. Yeah.
So great.
And this was like the height of Tom Green's popularity. Like he was like the shit. Like when that show moment. He had a pretty long moment. Like that show was really fucking funny, and like he ended up in movies because this might have been the like I think his name carried the movie because no one really like it's like everyone else in the movie was kind of like, oh, it's like the third guy from Clueless or like the fourth guy from American Pie.
I think that this was mostly funded by MTV. Also, this movie.
That show on there, right?
Yeah, I think that this might have been an MTV movie.
Oh, and he did the narration as well.
Yeah, yep.
But yeah, man. So this is great. Just really like a road trip movie and like the fucking hijinks that you get involved in. It's a fucking like sperm donation.
Yep.
There's a lot of cool shit. Yeah, like where like he's like I guess Sean William Scott goes in and like I guess this the where he's given the sperm like the massaging his prostate.
Yep.
And it's just he's like, wow, you could do that. Very cool stuff. Like I said, just randomly watching it the other day, it reminded me of just how funny that movie was. So that's mine and Parker's pick. So Langan.
All right, I'm gonna go with I mean, what can be said about this film? I know we're all big fans. I think we had a screening of it even when we were doing the film series, but Just One of the Guys.
That's my next pick also. Nice. Yeah.
I mean, this film I could watch over and over and over again. I did it as a kid and it still holds up for me. Buddy is one of the best characters in
ever. Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
In all films for me, but like as far as like 80s comedies and stuff, this dude got all the good lines, man. Like every time he opened his mouth was a quotable, hilarious moment. When he's I mean, if anybody hasn't seen the film, I'm sure they have. The girl goes to a high school. She writes an essay, a boring essay or whatever. They tell her it's no good. She thinks it's because she's a girl. She goes to another school, dresses like a guy, and writes another. Only in the 80s, this kind of thing would happen. The very hot Joyce Heiser, too. Very cool Joyce Heiser. I met her at a horror convention. She's fantastic. I would love to get her on this show. But a lot of good people in this cast. But Buddy is the best. The scene where he's teaching his sister how to scratch her balls.
It's legendary. It's absolutely like a legendary scene. Like it's just like everyone remembers that because when you mention the movie, everyone remembers what? Two things:
Oh, well, Joyce is. It's okay. He's got
Yeah.
tits.
And then the all balls itch.
All balls itch. It's a fact.
Yeah.
I particularly like when he's like, sometimes you got to get in there, let some air in, move things around.
You gotta get
And
in.
I'm jumping the gun here. Also, I can't forget William Zabka.
Yep.
Zabka gonna Zabka in this movie right here. He's doing his Zabka thing. He was the go-to blonde-haired jerk-off bully doing his like Karate Kid-esque performance as Greg Toland. He's fantastic as the asshole. A young Sherilyn Fenn's in this film too. You know, it's great. It's funny. It moves. It's a ridiculous plot. Of course, most of the ones, the next show we do with this will be really ridiculous plots for me. But the script pops. It's got so many jokes, so many one-liners, and most of it's propelled by Buddy for me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm Parker. You picked it, so
Yeah. My two other favorite things about this movie, just to piggyback off that, is the way that Rick Morehouse says Cyndi Lauper with that weird that weird accent of his. And then my all-time favorite scene is fucking when the mother calls and Buddy gets the phone. I mean, that just that whole conversation of like,
hey, yo, scumbag.
Yeah, just the way that he has, and then, you know, what is it, like, eat your own, suck your own, mom says hi, and then like, I'll do the dishes, and it's like pizza, so he just like taps like the crumbs off. I mean, and I mean, like, the like, let's just get down to it, like that tit flash at the end. For like my youth, like, I definitely paused that scene way more than Phoebe Cates, way more.
yeah.
So,
Everybody wore that tape out right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That was epic.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes it's not the quantity; it's the quality.
Yeah.
The quality.
Yeah,
and that's epic,
that was A+.
She was gorgeous, man.
Teardrop.
Oh yeah.
So all right, so then I'll pick one. So, you know, like I mentioned before, there was a couple of movies that I picked that were just, I just remember renting them as a kid and being like, these movies are fucking great. And so this is one of them. It's called Private Resort. Private Resort's fucking hilarious, and I didn't know it was like the third in a series. So 1985, the other films in the series is the last one. Supposedly everyone says it's the best. Private Lessons, and then one called Private School, which I think had Phoebe Cates in it.
Private School's great.
Yeah.
And
so
Betsy Russell.
So yeah, so that
and Matthew Modine.
Oh, nice.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So this one has Rob Morrow, Johnny Depp, Hector Elizondo, Andrew Dice Clay, fucking Leslie Eastbrook, who's obviously
Callahan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any of you guys seen this?
I know the name. I don't think I've ever seen it.
But it's not ringing a bell.
So also Dottie Goodman.
When you said Private Resort, I was thinking of the one with wait, you said Rob Morrow?
Yeah. Like, who's that?
And Johnny Depp, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear you say Johnny Depp. Yeah. Okay, I did see this a long time ago. Yeah.
So basically this movie opens in the most, like, I just rewatched it just to get it fresh into my head. And it's just like 80s ridiculousness. Like, it's like, you know, when people just see tits and it's almost like men are animals in this. And women are just like, kind of like, it's just insane because like everyone, like this dude, like it starts off, so it's like Rob and Johnny are kind of like young dudes, and they hang out at this Miami resort, and they're just trying to kick it to like old rich ladies. So like the beginning is this opening scene, and like Hector Elizondo's like, he's a jewel thief, and he's sitting there, and the waiter comes, and he's poolside, and the guy's like pouring red wine into his cup. But then his girlfriend, who's Leslie Eastbrook, she's sitting there, and her tits are hanging out, and of course, like, he's like, the waiter can't control himself because he's infatuated. He looks over and he starts spilling the red wine all over Hector. Like, it's just like dumb shit like that. And then there's just like one young kid who spends his time hanging around the poolside, like trying to think of ways to to rip girls like tops off. So like there's a scene where he has like a fishing wire and he's hiding behind the bush of like girls that are like sun tanning, and he's like yanking shit off. There's another one where he's trying to like grab a titty with like, remember those like the long hand things that you squeeze, like it had like the handle with the squeeze, and it was
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So he's like trying to touch people with that. It's fucking ridiculous. So Hector Elizondo is like a jewel thief, and he's trying to steal this old lady's like jewel, and it's just like mayhem in this resort. And let's see, I wrote
piggybacking on what you were saying too about the 80s movies, like it's like if a guy like saw titties or something, he's like biting his knuckles.
Yeah,
he's like he's like stuttering and something. Like he can't even function as a human being. Like I'm like, nobody, what?
Yeah, and it's funny to like look back now. You watch this stuff. Hey, listen, I couldn't recommend it more. It's probably like a $3-4 rental. If you've never seen this, watch the trailer. You see a young Johnny Depp, like he's like showing his ass, like he's like naked in this. There's one fucking funny scene, right? So he's trying to kick it to Leslie Eastbrook, who's the jewel thief's like girl, and he he's like under her covers, and then her boyfriend's sitting by the bed, and Johnny forgot to put his leg in so basically it's like Leslie's body and like Johnny's like next to her, and she's under the blankets, and it's his leg that's sticking out, and her boyfriend starts rubbing her leg, and he's like, you should really shave. So it's like ridiculous shit like that. There's some lots of tits, Japanese stereotypes out the ass. Anyone who's Japanese or Asian in this is taking a photo. And one last thing,
I think every movie in the 80s.
But
they all had photo equipment.
But also
that was very big in Ski Patrol. They did that. That was very big in that movie.
There's one more thing. So there's like a punk kid. He's like, but you could tell he's definitely not a punk. They're like, oh, we gotta, like, I guess punk rock was relevant in like 1985. So like anytime you see something, like there was like one scene where like this one dude's hair was all fucked up because they fucked up his hairdo. And he's like, oh, dude, your hair's so awesome. Yeah, it was just so, it's like the 80s and a ball in this movie. And it's called Private Resort. And it's so fucking worth your time if you've never seen it. So, yeah, Parker.
All right, so this one is also from 1985, and two friends, unfortunately, two losers. They're in high school, and just they just want to get laid, and it's not working to their advantage. So they decide to fucking put some fucking bras on their heads and fucking make a woman. Kelly LeBrock and Weird Science, man.
Yeah, and
holy fucking shit! I mean, still to this day, I fucking laugh my fucking ass off at this movie. I mean, what an ingenious movie, kind of. It's almost like, Bride of Frankenstein with like two horny kids, Yeah. I mean, the lines that fucking, Bill Paxton, talk about the shitty older brother. I think that he gets, an A+ for this. I mean, the fucking scene when they go drinking in the club, Gary and Wyatt.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite part is, Gary's getting dragged out, of the club, and he's literally, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, he's giving money away. He's just reaching into his pocket and just giving it to people as he's leaving the fucking place or whatever. But I mean, pure 80s in this. I mean, drinking, drugs. I mean, I wish that there was some sort of Kelly LeBrock naked in this, but unfortunately it wasn't. But still to this day, one of my favorite movies of all time, Weird Science.
Yeah.
Shout out to the girlfriends, Judy Aronson. Holla at your boy. Get on the show.
There you go.
Get on the show. Yeah, for sure. Michael Berryman.
Yeah.
Yep, Michael Berryman.
Yep.
Yeah,
for sure.
But that movie.
And a young Iron Man there.
Robert Downey. Downey. Yeah.
Also, I thought it was the funniest thing ever when not Wyatt. What was Anthony Michael Hall's name? And I forgot.
Gary.
When Gary said air biscuit,
Yeah,
I thought it was
yes.
I when I was a kid, I was like, this is the funniest like air biscuit.
If you're gonna float an air biscuit,
You're gonna fart, squeeze cheese.
Yeah.
I'll hit the fan.
And he's
I
like,
watched that movie so much I even knew like the television edit, like
Oh,
what
yes,
the lines
yes.
were from that.
yes.
I especially love too the scene where with Gary's parents and she erases the memory like that
Yeah.
Gary exists, and the mother keeps showing the pictures.
Yeah.
He's like,
Who is this
Our
Gary
son.
character?
I don't know what you're talking about, and I wish she'd shut up.
Yeah.
but also like the drinking scene when he is like fucking sitting there at like the club and he's like,
Oh yeah.
you know what that bitch did to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
What'd she do?
Yeah.
So good. Langan.
I am gonna shout out one of the OGs of this genre, Animal House, National Lampoon's Animal
Oh, there you
House.
go. There you go.
This movie set a benchmark, I think, for college comedies. I think that was totally severe. I mean, this movie, I think it came out
78.
78 and it killed. And then they re-released it in 80 and they made even more. Like it was just an institution for the youth and stuff. And it's carried by, Jim Belushi, who's just he's a genius comedically. Like what he could do with like just raising his eyebrow is hilarious. And there's so many funny scenes in it.
The zit. I mean,
come
on.
The zit scene, but even like before the zit part, when he's just the part where he's like walking down the cafeteria line and just grabbing the food and eating the stuff and just throwing stuff, like just that is like brilliant to me. All my favorite scenes are with Belushi when he goes and grabs the ladder to peep on that sorority house.
Yes,
goes up in the window, and then he starts jumping and banging the ladder to the next window, and you suspend disbelief because obviously everyone heard it, but the banging on it, and he gives that look he breaks the fourth wall for a minute with that like wink, but like, I mean, it's a great ensemble piece too. There's a great Tim Matheson's great in it.
Yeah.
And shout out, just like how I love Caddyshack, and I think the performance in Caddyshack by Judge Smails, his name is blanking on me right now. The villain is like my favorite part of Caddyshack. Dean Warmer in this movie is one of the best, like, of the adult characters in the film. The scene where he's got them lined up in the office going over their grade point average. The 0.0, which is
0.0.
The one guy doesn't even have a grade point average.
Daniel Simpson Day has no grade point average.
He has no, and then when fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life. And he's just the flounder, which is a great name. But I mean, I could go on and on. The scene where they go to the university and pick up those blind dates, the Fawn Leibowitz or whatever, and go to that bar because Otis Day and the Nights are playing. Yeah. Mind if we dance with your dates? That whole scene, which I read something about. Apparently, the producer was a little nervous about that whole scene and thought it was, even at the time, was like racially, like, I don't know if I want to do this or whatever. So one of the other producers sent it off to Richard Pryor to screen it for Richard Pryor and ask him what he thought. And he's like, man, because white people are crazy. This movie's funny as fuck. He's like, you just release it the way it is. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
But it's got a million quotable lines. The Germans bombing Pearl Harbor. It just goes on and on. And I remember even, when I went to Binghamton in the 90s and stuff, even at that point, I could tell you a million dorm rooms that had the picture of Belushi that says college across his sweatshirt. I mean, it's legendary.
And the song. I mean, come on, like that song scene. Sure. I mean, if that shit don't fucking, that was just great.
Yep.
A little bit louder now. A little bit louder now.
Oh, that's a great performance, man.
Yeah, just so good.
That guy can sing, man.
Yeah, completely.
The other song they do is great too in the other bar. But there's a lot of good old stuff in it. Don't know much about history. That whole line when he does the zit line.
Yeah.
It's great.
And Kevin Bacon, man.
Yep. Kevin Bacon, and I didn't even Niedermeyer. I mean, from that went into the Twisted Sister videos. He made a whole career on that.
Yep.
You're worthless and weak.
Yeah.
A pledge pin on your uniform.
Shout out to D. Schneider.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna mention my fourth movie here. This is another one of those like private school. This is currently up on YouTube. You could just type up Stewardess School and you'll
Oh,
Mm.
nice.
you can
Yeah.
watch the whole movie.
Deep cut.
So,
Yeah.
so this is 1986, and it's so after rewatching it, what I realized is that so I knew three of the movies that I was going to pick before because I'm just like, okay, I know these movies so well, so that's why I had Road Trip and 40-Year-Old Virgin. But then there was Private Resort and Stewardess School I needed to rewatch because I'm like, those were the first two that popped into my head as a kid where I'm like, these made me laugh more than anything else. So after rewatching it now as an adult, what I realized is that it's basically Police Academy. It's just the same fucking movie. Like if you watch it, there's even like this lady that starts yelling, move it, while they're like doing this. Like, it's just like, okay, that's pretty funny. So it's just like a crew of misfits that go to Stewardess School. And then there's like that girl, Judy Landers, who if you don't know her,
Oh shit.
look her up. She is like, you're right.
Armed and Dangerous, right?
Yeah. So she's in everything.
They were sisters, right? Or one of them's in it. In this one, there's two Landis sisters, right?
There might be, but there's only Judy in this one. And she plays like a hooker, so she got in trouble, and it's like, I don't know why to get off of jail they made her go to Stewardess School, but
of course
the 80s
one does.
This was one of the most played movies on Comedy Central. Also, $8 million budget. Guess how much it made?
Wait, $8 million?
Yeah,
for that movie.
Guess how much it made back?
500,000.
All right, you being mean now. 136,000.
How the hell did it cost that much to make that movie? I guess if you take the cocaine out, I mean, what went on the screen?
So, a crew of misfits, they basically go to Stewardess School, and I don't know why there's a boot camp for Stewardess School, but they're like running labs and shit. It has Brett Cullen, who wasn't in a bunch of he's in a bunch of stuff, but like the most noteworthy for me was Leviathan.
Nice.
Don Most, aka Ralph Malph, is in this. Judy Landers is mentioned, and then two very special people. One of them was actually in Police Academy 4, which is Corinne Boner. I forget her last name, but she plays Zed's girlfriend with like she's very, very cute girl. So she's in this, and my girl Wendy Jo Sperber, right? So she was in Moving Violations and a bunch of shit. Like if you see this girl, she. Like whenever I see Wendy Jo,
Buddies, bachelor party.
Yes. Yep. So she's the epitome of 80s when I think of it. Another movie that loved the 80s loved nut shots. There was like even in Private Resort, like Hector Elizondo's like somebody like hits like a golf ball and hits him in the balls and then his eyes cross. Same thing with this. It's just like nothing but like ball shots. And then like two more things that I'm going to mention. They start doing when they actually get on the plane, there's a scene, and of course every passenger is awful, and it's just complete raunchy shit. Like this girl, like one of the stewardesses like making this like little kid ice cream, and it's like this joke that you see coming, but you don't know where it's going to go. So it's like, do you want ice cream? Do you want whipped cream? Do you want this? And then like, of course she gets to the last thing, this little kid, right? It's like this like 30-year-old, like hot woman and like an 8-year-old kid. And she's like, do you want your nuts crushed or something? And of course that's the line. So he's like, do you want your tit shot off? And then, then it goes to the next thing. That's the type of humor we're dealing with in this movie. And then one of my favorite things is also like at the end, I'm not going to ruin it too much, but there's like a kind of like a terrorist that looks like he's straight out of like the movie The Delta Force, like the bearded guy.
All right.
And he poisons this dude's drink, and then of course like through like the whole flight they get the Judy Landers to basically suck his dick and suck the poison out through his dick. So
Hmm.
it's unbelievably ridiculous. But if you miss this one, this is like the epitome of the topic that we're talking about. Just
They
complete.
made sequels, right?
I don't think so.
No,
Yeah, no.
I feel like that was obligatory.
Yeah, no, but not that I saw for this one, but like I said, it's just ridiculous. It's like I think they just needed to make something. They're like, oh, let's do stewardess school. All right, cool. Let's just do that. But seriously, why there was a boot camp, I have no idea. But completely recommend it. And if you go to YouTube, like I said, you could watch the whole movie right now for free.
Nice.
Sweet.
So Parker, what are you, 4 or 5?
No, this is my last one.
Oh yeah, me too. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So 1984, this is from. This was a lot like when I saw the later Police Academy movies. I think I saw like Citizens on Patrol first, or Back in Training, and then I was like, holy shit! I'm like, there's movies before these, and then like I couldn't believe how raunchier they were, like the actual versions. And this was like when I saw this movie, I saw the sequel, and I was like, oh, it's funny, blah blah blah. And then I tracked down the first one. Probably like my older brother probably had it hidden somewhere or whatever, and I'm watching this movie, and still to date, one of the greatest lines of all time was "Step aside, Big Mama. I want to see some of that muff." And it's none other than Revenge of the Nerds, the Panty Raid.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've got Bush. They show Bush. I mean, naked pie pictures. That's my pie. The variety show. I mean, what's not to love about this movie? I mean, one of the greatest, one of the funniest from start to finish. I mean, if you haven't seen it, somehow, if you're living under a rock, it's about two best friends, two nerds that go away to college, and obviously they get picked on by the jock alpha betas and get turned down from every fraternity. Nobody wants them. The only one that does want them is one that they didn't send a picture to. And much like Road Trip, it's an all-black fraternity. And
Tri-Lambs.
They join the Tri-Lambs, and I don't know, man. I mean, that variety show scene is fucking classic, from fucking riding around a bike and doing beer shots, to the guy passing out. And I mean, one of the best musical performances I think I've ever seen on a movie with that variety show.
That is true. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, both of them in both movies for sure.
Yes.
But I think they were definitely the times were a little bit more Devo-ish, by the time 84 popped around.
Mm-hmm.
But shout out to the Omega Moves too.
Yeah,
sure.
man.
I have this on. This was one of my mentions as well, of course, Revenge of the Nerds, and that the scene where they have the delegates from the Tri-Lambs come over for that house party they have, where they smoke the Wonder joints.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And the Omega Moves come over.
Yes.
They start playing Thriller, and
Poindexter's like leg starts moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kills. And Booger, I mean, one of the most legendary characters of comedy history. The belching contest scene is one of my favorite scenes there is. It's funny. I watched this. I don't know, maybe last year I rewatched this movie and stuff. So I go on IMDb to read I always look for like a movie that I absolutely love and look for people that rated it like 1 star and see what they can find wrong with it. Apparently, like it doesn't, like a younger generation not feeling like a lot of the stuff they find quote unquote problematic would be the key word of it.
Yeah. Wow.
like what's his name? Was it Lewis? No.
Yeah. No. So Lewis, when he when he
the Darth Vader mask
tricks that girl into
Yeah.
But it's
and then
funny.
Afterwards, she's like totally okay with it. Like, it was really good. So
you got completely. Yeah. It's just
but they can't. They're like they see that and they're like, what the hell? Or like they spied on their, that they drilled those cameras. And I love when they sit. Go ahead.
But I was gonna say, like, I think like we watch like a scene like that, like the Darth Vader thing, and we laugh because it's so funny and ridiculous. Like
Of course.
I don't think anyone would ever try that.
Nobody had any of this stuff was like done with like ill will. It was like just of the times for a laugh. I don't think it was like, nobody was thinking like that. It's just a sign of the times, but when they're watching those videos of those girls and they're sitting there on the couch for like all night long, eating cereal, staring at, see if Betty's up yet.
Yeah.
And that's how, the beauty of pornography now is that guys don't have to do that. They could just they just go onto their phone real quick and just go watch porn, as opposed to like.
But even as viewers too, like when you were younger, like this was your outlet.
Yeah.
Like this, if a movie like showed something there, like that's all you had, unless you like were wandering the woods and you found some porn that some bum left out there. This is it, man.
Well, I don't know if a bum left it, but it was always like that one guy. Good
Samaritan.
It was always like that one guy who like probably like his parents found it, so he had to get rid of them real quick, or like he had like a girlfriend was like, all right, you know what? Let me just leave these here and come back.
I'm gonna go deep into the woods and leave this where no one could find it. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But
good
all right,
times.
So my last one is there's something about
last one. You should have two more, right?
Oh, I only have one more.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have.
What did I do? I did Superbad, Animal House, Just One of the Guys, Revenge of the Nerds. I would still have. I know Parker had Just One of the Guys also.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
I got one more after that.
No, go ahead. Then do yours.
I'll just Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's probably my GOAT. I knew that would be my number one selection. That was another blueprint movie for the teen comedy. It's got a lot of heart in it too. It's not just completely, I would call it debaucherous or whatever, you know what I mean? But I mean, some of the greatest characters in cinema history, Spicoli,
the greatest,
Spicoli's bagel. The scenes with Spicoli and Mr. Hand are some of my favorites. I mean, Sean Penn crushed it on this. No wonder he had a great career after this, but he went like method and created one of the best California stoner in film history. And shout out to Damone too. Great character.
Yeah.
It's chock full of lines. And what can I say about Phoebe Cates? That is the most legendary nude scene maybe ever made. Like that red bikini, that the whole, can you hear the cars moving in stereo without thinking of that moment, man?
Judge Reinhold agrees.
Yeah, it's flawless.
Everything about that movie is perfect. I was reading an article with Paul Thomas Anderson because they were asking him about Licorice Pizza, and he was like just talking about some movies that like inspired him, and he mentioned Fast Times at Ridgemont High because he was like, that movie's 93 minutes long, and I don't know how they did it because it's perfect. It's like he's like, it's this condensed perfection movie, and it just is like every character hit, like every character. Shout out to Damone for lasting like 3 pumps with Jennifer Jason Leigh. I think it was right. It wasn't really that long. And he got her pregnant. I mean, like that's bad luck. I had no idea Jennifer Jason Leigh's dad was Vic Morrow, the guy that died in
Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah, no idea.
We can't forget Forrest Whitaker's. Forrest Whitaker's in this film, but
Taylor Negron is the pizza.
Yes, the pizza guy. Yeah. I love that guy.
Scene is so great.
Yeah, it's so that is so ridiculous. Both those scenes, but like to go back to that bagel, I can't think of another bagel that had like more of a cinematic impact than Spicoli's bagel. Like how it was like Adebisi's hat. Like you watch it and you're like, how is this thing?
Yeah.
Like how
that's my Twitter picture is a close up of that bagel.
It's like it's just so like, how is that even hanging on to there?
But it's just I the second I saw that, I was like fascinated with it. I'm like, what? You can't carry your bagel, like the best place to put this bagel is like in your pants, like just slightly.
Yeah. Yeah, that movie's perfect, man. That movie's
Perfect.
and serious when it wants to be, and kind of like relevant as far as like getting slightly older and stuff. And it's got the ending to all the, like, I love all these like I guess you could say teen or like a, you know, young adult movies at the end where it has the where are they now. I
Yeah.
love that shit. I
Yeah.
love watching those movies where they're like, you know, it's like, okay, Jeff Spicoli, you know, like
Yeah.
like, you know, he hired Van Halen or whatever the fuck, you know, that stuff's
Yeah,
great.
he saved Brooke Shields from drowning.
That's what it
and
was.
blew
That's
the
what
money.
yeah.
Yeah. Animal House did that too, I think.
A lot of
I
a lot of
believe.
them did. Yeah.
That was the move back then.
All right. So my last one is a Farrelly Brothers movie, and it's There's Something About Mary. Just like this is one of those movies that I saw in the theater that I remember just fucking dying. I was fucking dying. You know, just like Ben Stiller just has I guess you know, the date with Cameron Diaz. They're younger, and then from there I guess that's where the story goes. But it's just like when he like zippers up his testicles and they show it, like,
Yeah.
I don't think the movie audience was ready for that,
Nah.
because we were just like, we were dying. We were fucking dying. Marky Post was the mom.
Yeah.
Keith David
Keith
was
David.
Dad.
I mean, like, those are cool parents. Marky
Yeah.
Post and Keith David. Like, that's pretty fucking awesome. Then her slowish brother was the guy from Scream. My ball. And Cameron Diaz, I think that was like the height. Like, she was like The Mask in that was like when people were like, yo, this is the hottest girl on the fucking planet.
Yep. No question.
She's the it girl.
And the scene where he's like jerking off and like he comes and he can't find it, like it's fucking ridiculous. Like he put like, she's like, oh, what is that, hair gel? Why would she do that? And everyone is just all about banging Mary, and you realize that they're all kind of imposters. Matt Dillon, funny. His fucking teeth. Magda, you know, shout out to Lynn Shay, you know, from Rob, you know, the Shay family killer. But the scene where fucking Ben Stiller like fights the dog, like that shit is fucking
hilarious.
You put that on YouTube right now, you will fucking die laughing still. Like, that little dog wanted to kill him. Yeah. Great soundtrack. A lot of really cool stuff on there. But
Chris Elliott too.
Yeah. Really funny, really dirty, which I love. And the Farrelly brothers, they had a great run. They did some cool stuff. But yeah, that's it. So those are the 5 raunchy comedies that we all like, and this will be, you know, I'll do it up as volume 1 again, because I'm sure we'll pick some more movies. And
my next one's going to be some deep cuts.
Yeah, because I think I've obviously seen all of your list. Parker, the only one I didn't see of yours was Euro Trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went in deep with. Hopefully, people check out Private Resort and Stewardess School, because they're really worth the time.
I watched so many. So yeah, I got ones of that aren't the greatest films, but they're still hilarious in their own right, or an interesting time capsule into, because the 80s, forget it. Like the 80s ran shit in these kind of movies. They were pumping them out.
They were
like
pumping
crazy.
them out because it was almost like a horror movie where they didn't really need to be that good.
It was formula, you know. It was, and just like horror could be formula, you know. All right, let's a couple of dorks, some virginity pact. They go to Florida, and a bunch of crazy shit happens.
Pretty much,
you know
exactly. Like kids go away to summer camp and somebody starts killing them, and you're like, this is great.
And then fill in the blanks later. That's it. You know, we sold the movie.
That's it. Cool. All right, so we got one in the books. We'll do Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise stuff, and then a bunch of other stuff this year. So I guess I will talk to you guys on Saturday.
Cool.
Bye.
Later.